Hey, what's up? Trying to get some videos in the backlog. Uh, and I just wanted to give a reminder, like it's still a struggle even after a year and 6 months sometimes. Sometimes the longer I go without drinking, the easier it gets. There are times it will hit me. Like stress, can cause it, various other things. But I like this past Thursday, I knew I had a 3 day weekend. I've been very open, like having extended weekends, holidays, it's always like a trigger. And I started romancing a little bit. It's not like, your first few weeks or few months. Like it's not strong like that. That's very rough. That's why it's so easy to just say F it and you go and drink. But I was thinking about it, like just how I would drink for like 6, 8, 10 hours straight, and it would just shut me off, just really dumb me down. And I sort of miss that feeling of just living in that cesspool, right? Like that self-deprecation, that self-destructive pattern. A part of us loves it, right? And we romance it. And I know I did, at least. I'll speak for myself on that. But I started like longing for that like buzz and drunk again, just to like shut off. And like that can be dangerous and all, but I'm aware of it and it went away and I'm good, right? It's already like 2 days later. I'm not gonna drink, trust me. I have too much riding on it. But I'm just gonna be open with you. Sometimes it will hit you and it's not like the cravings you'll get earlier on, like, oh man, I want to drink. It's more of a mental thing. And I don't even know what physical dependency feels like, so I can't speak on that. That's a whole other ball game. But like, it's just more mental. Like, oh man, just want to shut off for one night, right? Because when you're sober, you have a lot of time to think, a lot of emotional feeling, a lot of anger. And what alcohol does, it'll shut that off. It'll numb you out, right? And it's sort of a release, but in reality, it makes things worse the next day. But with sobriety, you can long for that feeling again. Obviously, that's why people go back to drinking. They go back to partying, whatever it may be, any substance. You have to be aware of the cues and you have to just be aware of it and what it is. You let the thoughts come and you let them go. This will probably be something that happens 5, 10 years down the line if I maintain my sobriety, and I hope I do. But with that being said, it's not that strong. It's not as strong as it is earlier on. It comes and it fleets very quick. Like I've said before, I used to obsess for hours on a Friday evening. It's not like that. It's like a couple minutes even. It's not even a couple minutes, honestly, but it's scary sometimes. It's like, man, what if I were to drink again? You start questioning those things like what ifs. But you just don't. You don't, right? Because I know the next day would be it would be terrible. But it doesn't have that much control. That's why I try to I spout so much about this getting further along, accrue the months, get the 12 months, a year and a half, so on and so forth. But that's really all this video is. It's just trying to show it's still a bit of a struggle no matter what, right? You got to think of all the years. I think I went from in high school, I started like middle school, high school, I was dabbling with alcohol, more so high school. I can't remember the first time I drank, how old I was exactly. Middle school to high schoolish. And then I was partying in high school, an okay amount, not like every weekend. It was hard to, get alcohol. But then when I was 21, it was like an every weekend beer pong party fest. And then into my mid to late 20s, people get married, they have kids, they stop partying like that. I think I partied well into my late 20s. But at that time, I was drinking alone, too, which was a very bad habit to develop. And it was still like the bar scene, mild house parties, get-togethers, and just drinking alone a lot more the older I got into my early 30s, right? So it got, yeah, I'm so glad I'm not that guy. And I'm definitely, I never wanted to be the guy going around young kids partying and stuff. That's out of place. Like, even the New Year's Eve party I was at, there were a lot of young people playing beer pong, and I played with, I think I had a Powerade Zero, but it just felt out of place, man. You know, I'm just too old now. I loved beer pong. Beer pong parties were the best. I had them all the time, you know, but it is what it is. There's a point where it's just not like that. People aren't young. They have kids. They're married and responsibilities, you know. Sort of, it's odd how, like, in your young and even mid-20s, it's just acceptable to get sloshed all the time and just party hard, you know. It's just acceptable. It really is. People don't really think about it. You could be blacked out drunk every weekend 2-3 times a month, and people don't really think much of it, right? I feel like that's when a lot of people develop an issue with it. But, yeah, for me, I don't know. I sort of remember the time I started drinking alone more often. It's like after a breakup, and like I was depressed. I was working a job I didn't like. I wasn't making that much money. This is a long time ago. I remember walking to the liquor store, and I was like, man, why am I drinking alone, right? And you develop a knack for it. You do, and then like become very comfortable. It's a very depressing thing that it's very romanticized, and it's sort of addictive in itself. Sitting in this very spot, just with a case or a bottle, and you just know the night's gone, and you're shutting off, and you're just acting like a fool, man. It's almost like you just lose control of yourself, and there was like some type of freedom in that, but in reality, it was so obnoxious and belligerent, right? I'm sure a lot of you can understand that. And if you're doing that, I get it. I do. And it's so weird how that self-destructive behavior and just turmoiling yourself is like, it's so peaceful in a way. Like, I really do. I get it. There's a peace to it. There's a romance to it. And it's probably like that with a lot of substances with people. It's like a comfort thing, man. It was like, I've talked about this so many times, but just thinking about it, it creeps me out because I don't feel that way as much anymore, but I remember feeling that way. Like just sitting here and obsessing over it, and then the act of going to get it and buying it and taking the first drink, it was like a ritual. And it all happened so quick. Next thing you know, you're within like 2-3 hours, I was lit, and I'm like, what am I doing? You know? Then all of a sudden I want to go to the bar or go do whatever, and it's like I don't even really care. I don't care about that stuff. But I would get so like wasted and just want to go out and like, you know, I don't even remember half the times I went out. I was not driving, by the way, but there were some bars within walking distance. But it was still, I'd always catch myself going down, and it wasn't even particularly that fun. It was just I wanted to be around people, you know? Whether, you know, I was partying with friends or just solo basing it and then wanting to go out. It was just ridiculous. But now I'm rambling, but there was just something about that was addictive in itself, I'm telling you. And people that don't drink like that, they're not going to understand that. But those of you that do, I guarantee you can relate. And I get it. I do. And it scares the living crap out of me when I think about it, because I can remember that feeling. And it was so hard to get away from that. It's almost like alcohol is your buddy, you know what I mean? It's always there for you. The warmth that makes you not care about your feelings, your emotions, and like all the distractions in life. It just takes them away temporarily, but it makes everything so much worse. It's like it rubs your cheek to stab you in the back the next morning, right? And it's all temporary. It's such a wild thing. But now I'm rambling, but it's just weird. I'll only when I bring it up about how I would drink, like, right here. And it was so crazy, too. Not to ramble too much. I know I'm going a bit off topic, but it was like I've always said, the 2 to 5 drink period was always the best, but I could never maintain that. That was always the best. Whether it be socially, gaming, I could still perform well with a slight buzz, and it was fun, and you had that euphoric feeling, but I'd always go past that. And the sad thing was, I would drink so fast and so much, such a quantity so fast. It didn't even take 2 hours. Like, mixed drinks, I would start off with like a shot or two, and then it was like half and halves. And it's like 2 hours in, I was already doing that. So like by 2-3 hours, I was lit, and I couldn't even function. Like if I was playing a game that made me wait a little bit, like say there was like a loading time or like something, I couldn't focus. I wouldn't care anymore. I would just, if I was streaming, I would end up drunk and I'd turn it off and want to go out, you know what I mean, to the bar or whatever, or go and message people and be a freaking degenerate, right? Not really a degenerate, but just like, just obnoxious. I don't like that. I don't like the drunk person I would become. But it's just weird, you know? And it was odd because I'd want to, like, even if it was just a game with friends, it would always end up I'd be way too drunk. I couldn't even like talk because I was drinking so fast. People probably, someone's car alarm's going off. It's like they're driving with their car alarm going off. It's so weird. But anyways, it was only like the 10-hour span I was drinking, right, on a weekend. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. Only like 2 hours of it was enjoyable because I'd always go over that threshold, like that buzz to really buzz, which then into drunk and just blacked out. It was like over 70% of the night was in that really drunk to blackout phase, and I would just drink so much so quick. I couldn't talk right. I didn't care. I was obnoxious, you know, arguing or messaging people. And it's just like, I would chase that drunk, and I'd only enjoy 20% of the time anyways. It was just ridiculous. Like, I'd be so blasted, I'd be gaming and just be like, I'd be looking around, like, not confused, but like just wasted, you know, just like, what am I doing? Oh, I died in the game. I don't want to wait. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna go to the bar. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's ridiculous. I hated that. It's just like it's a stupor, man. And you always go to that point. Like when I would drink, I would always go to that point. Always. I always had to keep my glass full too. Like if my cup was like half empty, or half full to be positive, I'd have to like chug it and then make another drink. It's like this, you know, that oral fixation. Same with like 8%ers or whatever I was drinking, right? I'd bring like 3 in, set them down, 3 or 4, and I would drink through them in like not even an hour, and then grab 4 more, and then by the time I'm through the 12-pack in 2 or 3 hours, it's wasted, right? Just insanity. And the hardest part is actively knowing you don't really want to do it. You know what I mean? Like deep down, you don't want to do. Who wants to do that to themselves? And I always had to have more than I needed. I always had to make sure I had more than I ever needed. Because if I didn't, it would like bother me mentally not having that extra alcohol just in case I'd run out. It was absurd. And then I would get into these cycles where, say I drank 8 of 12 of the 8%ers and I had 4 left. I would know they were there for like a week, 2-3 weeks. It didn't matter how long I would go without drinking. I always knew they were there, and I'd have to get the other 12 to know I couldn't finish the 16 8%ers or whatever, you know? I'd always know, or like rum or whatever. It was there, and I would always quantify off of that amount for the next time I drink, right? There were times I'd go sober for a month or 2 knowing that alcohol was there. I do not recommend letting alcohol sit around. I've went sober for weeks, even a few months with extra alcohol just sitting, but I don't recommend it. It's like subconsciously you know it's there, and I always placated off of what alcohol I had left, right? But my girlfriend's calling. That's about it for the video. I just wanted to express myself a bit. It's 15 minutes. Much love. Take it easy.